All right, welcome back, guys, to Flowframe, where we trade political prediction markets. We are your source for everything domestic politics, international geopolitics. We got it covered. So let's jump into some of this week's news and markets. I'm Tyler here with James, and let's jump right into the big news of the week. We have officially gotten a ceasefire. U.S. Iran have made a 2-week ceasefire deal. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and we got it just before the Trump deadline on Tuesday night, and within a couple hours, it became pretty precarious already. There was some missiles launched from Iran into the UAE and Qatar already, and then Wednesday we get Israel launched an attack in southern Lebanon, and basically from that moment on, this traffic through the strait has almost completely shut down again, and both sides are claiming that the other has violated the terms of the ceasefire. And yeah, think we saw some markets rally pretty quickly after that announcement, and most of them have largely recorrected already. And it's a really tentative, precarious ceasefire. And we see like there's that Polymarket for the ceasefire that resolved and then is now currently in dispute. It seems like we're going to have an answer tonight, is if Polymarket's going to recognize whether there is actually a ceasefire, because while it isn't a ceasefire name, basically none of the terms have been met by anybody. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is very interesting because it's definitely like, so it says 100%, but there was people like buying and selling this in large numbers even after it was announced. So I was watching it on Flowframe. I have this live trade feed. So I wonder
Mhm.
if they're still showing here. But if you go to top traders, I have some of the most profitable traders. I can like track their trades in real time. So yeah, you'll see about an hour ago, so there was a trade on, someone was selling the US Iran ceasefire April 7. Um, and let's see, there was some more of them. Here's some more ceasefire trades. There was some huge ones coming in. So like 100,000. So this person bought 100,000 of there would be a Iran ceasefire by April 7 at 99.9%. So 200,000 here. So people were obviously just like bonding and like carving out some yield. But the fact that they were able to get these huge positions on something that was apparently done and decided is interesting.
Yeah, I know there is a lot of reporting coming in that a lot of wallets popped up that is the only trade they've made.
Oh,
There are a lot of big buys Tuesday evening.
yeah. I mean, look at some of these. Another 200,000 that uh, yeah, it's why people like should we jump to the resolution rules on this? Is there just some confusion in the resolution here? Mutually agreed halt and direct military engagement between the United States and Iran. For the purpose of this market, an official ceasefire agreement requires clear public confirmation from both the United States government and the government of Iran.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um. Anyways, an interesting market to watch. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna go. It's gonna go yes, but but yeah, like you said, that's big news. The markets
Yeah.
definitely rallied for a day or so. Crypto has been way up since. So now the
Mhm.
question becomes, I guess, will the ceasefire hold till I think April 21 is the deadline?
Yeah,
And
it was 2 weeks.
yeah, and then what will, happen then? Will it be
Right.
extended? Will it be is Trump just trying to buy some time to kind of like regroup, get plans together for an invasion? Yeah, that's now I think the big thing everybody's wondering.
Yeah, and I mean, just as in a geopolitical sense, looking at this situation is Iran's position is that the U.S. via Israel immediately violated the terms of the ceasefire with Israel's attack on Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, and you have now the U.S. and the Trump administration saying that that wasn't part of the ceasefire, and Iran saying it was, and that's their justification for shutting down all the traffic through the strait. And it is basically this tripwire that now Iran has to instigate any kind of closure through Hormuz, because I Israel sees southern Lebanon as an existential threat. I mean, Hezbollah is a bigger military force than the Lebanese uh, army, so they really dictate the terms, especially in southern Lebanon, and
Mhm.
that is Israel's justification for these launching these attacks. So, as you have that situation, that border between Israel and Lebanon, and Iran can kind of pull it and use it as leverage and justification whenever it needs to. So the U.S. is really in a um, or Iran has the high ground in any kind of negotiation like that's going to happen in Pakistan over this weekend, because they
Yeah,
are really going to dictate the terms of the strait using that as a mechanism.
gotcha. And JD Vance is going to Pakistan, right, for these talks? Is that right?
Yeah, because you have it's JD Vance, Jared Kushner, and Witkoff, and they have Vance there because it was Witkoff and Kushner who were there actively negotiating when the U.S. launched its initial strike on February 28th. So
Mm,
the trust there is pretty eroded. So they're hoping JD Vance will be that, like, the actual point of any negotiation there.
yeah. Who knows? Maybe if he's able to get some favorable terms, might help his presidential bid.
Yeah, it
You
might
know?
give him a little bit of boost here. Something to
Yeah,
campaign on.
yeah, yeah. That's something to keep an eye on.
Mhm.
So this traffic through the Strait of Hormuz market. We actually talked about it last week, and I think I was saying that buying no for June was a good buy. Now we're gonna start tracking our calls more officially. We got a document set up and everything, so we can look back and be held accountable a little bit more. But I can't. Do you remember what it was at when because I didn't actually end up making the trade, but we. I was saying no could be a good bet. That was probably about a week ago.
Mhm.
It's been a
Yeah.
lot of volatility. Like so, this clearly was the ceasefire announcement
Yeah.
spike right here, and now I think people are kind
They're
of
pricing it a
realize
little more appropriately now. I think it's
yeah,
still too high. I think no, even for June, I think no is still the right call.
yeah,
Um, I mean,
'cause
you see, like, April or April 15th, when I checked earlier, it was like 3%. What is it now? Oh, 1.4. Yes. So that's actually probably totally correct.
yeah,
Um,
wow, this would have been a great I mean, it spiked all the way to almost 40, wow.
I know.
By April 15, that would have been a great entry.
Mhm. Well, because what is it like? I think the terms of this contract are like an average of 60 tankers going through the strait. I believe that's the detail. Yeah, above
Yep.
60. So I mean, you need a week of pretty not normal, but a lot closer to normal traffic to get in there. I mean, we're already don't have that week
Yeah,
left. So like it's I mean, and now the market. I mean, even at 3% seemed much. Like I don't know how that was ever going to happen.
Yeah.
But even by May 1st, that you get the, I mean, say the ceasefire is successful, I imagine it takes the entire 2 weeks to extend anything or to set up any kind of infrastructure. And then that gives you 9 days to get above that average. Like, that's a really tall ask.
And because they're also asking to be paid, right? Like a toll. S
Yeah.
so that and the US is saying, "No, that's not gonna happen," but Iran is like, right? And so Iran is saying, "Yes."
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
those
They want to
terms haven't
operate
been
like
figured
a toll
out.
booth. Yeah, and it has huge, like, international law implications too that I don't think the US is wanting to jump in on. The rest of the Gulf states don't want that scenario by any means, because then Iran is effectively using military force to control part of, like, Oman's, like, territorial waters there through the strait. And if the US is seen to be backing some sort of policy like that, like, it throws a lot of other situations into limbo, and it's a really bad precedent that I think that the U.S. is not wanting to set. So yeah, I just don't see it climbing above that average rate by then.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool, like, maps like that, like, track the traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, like, in, like, real time that I've been seeing on
Mhm.
X and stuff. So this yeah, this could be a bet we add to the sheet to kind of track. The May 1 no at 82%. I agree with you. That one,
Mm.
because I also saw some, again, you can't trust everything you read on X, of course, but there was someone saying how there is some speculation that Iran was able to drop a few mines in the strait, so that's causing some hesitation to, like, who's gonna make sure that those are all, like, out of there and stuff, like,
Mhm.
too. So it's just another, like, maybe delay or something t potentially.
It will
Uh,
be interesting to watch for too. Is they don't have an official position, but I know China is heavily invested in traffic through the strait. I mean, and I think they get a large amount of their oil directly through Iran and the other Gulf states through the strait. And I've seen a lot of chatter about that China was likely back channeling and facilitating the ceasefire talks over the
mm,
weekend. So it'll be interesting to see, like, Chinese resources going into normalizing some aspects of traffic through the strait.
hmm,
So that's definitely like a catalyst to watch out for how involved China becomes.
definitely. And then let's jump over to the other market we've been covering is the Iran nuclear deal.
Mhm.
Ceasefire affect this one a lot, do you think, or not much?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the end of the year market jumped way up. It was at, yeah, it's still at 50. It's a little bit. It was a little bit higher, and I think it's come back down.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I honestly, that's probably moving. I mean, as the landscape shifts, I think that's probably a pretty honest number. Is about a coin flip. I mean, there's still a lot of middle ground to cover. Like, I mean, Iran wants its nuclear program intact for energy purposes. The U.S. wants any nuclear deal to basically disarm Iran from any ballistic weapons, which then Iran sees as isolating it and leaving itself undefended in the region. So I think there's a lot of middle ground for both to make up, but I think a coin flip at this point is probably pretty fair.
Yeah. Yeah, and Trump keeps saying that this new whoever they're talking to, the new leaders are more reasonable and less radical and stuff, so maybe they're, yeah, I don't
Which is
know.
super interesting because Netanyahu just came out last night or this morning saying the new regime is more radical. So
Really?
yeah, so here, I mean, you're watching the Trump administration definitely get pulled in two different directions with the in the region. Like, so there's definitely some juggling to do.
So that Netanyahu reference, just I saw this spiked earlier today. Israel Hezbollah ceasefire
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're
has,
having talks this weekend too, I believe.
so that's yeah, that's kind of big news as well,
Mhm.
isn't it? They've been at it
Yeah,
for a while, right?
yeah, that's gonna become the proxy war
Yeah,
for US
right.
Iran. Like, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not already totally considered that. That's totally going to be where it's Israel firing into southern Lebanon. Like, they haven't done it this round yet, but they have sent military excursions into southern Lebanon before. 'Cause like I was saying earlier, like Lebanese government and their military just is is outgunned by Hezbollah in the country, and Israel
Hmm,
treats that as an existential threat.
interesting. Interesting. All right. Oh, and then another related market here is, so Kharg Island is a hot topic
Mhm.
because of the importance to Iran's oil infrastructure. Kharg Island, I think, what does it handle? What was it, 60% of their exports or something like that?
Mhm.
And so the US has bombed it like multiple times, and but they haven't touched the pipes. Trump says we left the pipes. So uh this is a market that, like, I I have a trade on. I so I guess what's your read on the ceasefire impact to this market as well?
It definitely it dropped it by like 30 points, I think, on the announcement of the ceasefire. Uh, but I still think that's at 9% by April 30th. I think that's still too high.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was thinking. That's my trade. I bought no at 92%, 92 cents.
mhm,
J because I guess my thinking is, so in order for them to not be under Iranian control, it will mean, like, total regime collapse somehow, or or a pretty large scale, complicated, like, ground operation. I think one of those two things would have to happen, right, for this to resolve to
yes,
yes,
and
right?
I don't think Trump has the domestic political capital to break the ceasefire before the 22nd, I think.
Yeah,
So, I mean, this all has to happen in the last 9 days of April.
yeah.
I think that tourniquet, the time frame there is really unfriendly to that, even at 9%. I think it.
Yeah, the risk is that, like, this was the whole plan, was to, like, ceasefire so that they could get troops and, like, plans ready and in position and stuff like that, and then when the ceasefire is over, they go in and take it.
Mhm,
And it it has it keeps getting brought up in, like, conversations with, like, I forget who, like, I don't know, like Lindsey Graham and, like, some other, like, politicians keep bringing it up. So I am probably not gonna go huge on this one, 'cause it there is some risk, I think, but I think I think it's not. I think it should be more like 5% or something like that, or maybe lower, because, also reading just about how, yeah, I mean, if there's troops on the island, you're just a sitting duck there. Like,
yeah,
the casualty risk is enormous.
yeah, and I mean, if the US lands troops there, I mean, Iran now has every incentive to destroy the infrastructure.
Yeah,
Like, and you are right within their range, their ballistic missile range of that they've been using all throughout the Gulf.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
there
Y yeah,
their
they
whole
clearly have weapons left, right? They just shot down, the F-15 pilot, which, yeah, we haven't touched on that, but that was big news. That
Mhm.
was that was a big event. Thank goodness they were rescued. But so they still have weapons and some capability left, that this would makes this a very risky mission. and still not clear to me what we would gain from it anyways. So
Yeah, I think it just become that would be part of just the slugfest at that point. I don't think there's any larger positioning for it other than just to take things at that point.
yeah,
Like I just don't see the Trump administration having the capital to do that
yeah,
domestically. Like they'll lose any global support that the U.S. and Israel have for this operation right now. I think they lose it because that effectively disrupts a fifth of the world's oil uh, supply pretty conclusively and pretty indefinitely.
yeah, yeah. So that's one that's going on the spreadsheet that we'll track is I've got no by April 30. Gonna be watching it closely. So any other thoughts on Iran, I guess, before we move on to some other topics?
Uh, no, I think those are a good proxy. I think for or a good representation of the degree of
Yeah.
going on for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Okay. So an interesting market that is somewhat related to Iran, but is a little bit more domestic is since Trump's speech, that press conference that he gave about Iran, where he said he was going to send Iran back to the Stone Ages. I think since then, there's been a lot of Democrats and things calling for the 25th Amendment to be used on Trump. And I'm seeing headlines about this and like kind of along with impeachment and stuff like this. Do you want to just give a rundown on what this actually means?
Yeah. So the 25th Amendment is basically it's the cabinet. Uh, I don't know if it's got to be a vote. I don't think it's a unanimous thing, but removing a president who doesn't have the mental faculties to continue executing the office.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of headlines about it. I think it's a very clickable, like news story, but I don't think
Yeah.
there's a real possibility, unless, or at least in the current state, if nothing else changes with like Trump's mental state, or I don't know, but I think it's more of a posturing play than it is a realistic option.
Yeah.
Um, Same with impeachment, I think too, is that and anything before 2027, I don't think is realistic at all.
Okay.
I mean, Trump is just the identity of the Republican Party, and I don't think they can afford that loss, even with how unpopular the Iran conflict is. I don't think they survive losing the name.
Yeah. And just purely off of just observation, like politics aside, I look at President Trump and his yeah, just you observe him in speeches and other things, and then you observe like what Joe Biden was like. And it seems like not it seems night and day that Trump is very with it compared to uh Sleepy Joe. And so like if that was not a risk for him, I just don't see how this could be in play at all. Right. Of course something could change, but like it's just
Yeah,
off of
Uh,
current observations, like
the,
seems
the,
very yeah.
the general consensus is that there is probably some mental decline,
Yeah.
but it's I don't think it's anywhere near the amount that it would that Republicans his Republican handpicked cabinet or a Republican controlled House or Senate would move in any way to remove
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is a long resolution, I guess. This would be to 2028. So
Yeah,
maybe not worth tying up capital on something like this, do you think? Or is this good enough to tie some up?
I would do a small position if that's what you're going to do. Yeah, only because it's the resolution's far and it is susceptible to some shocks.
Yeah.
Like I mean, there's a couple of ways it could go. It might be a way of saving the legacy, is if a health issue does occur.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, I don't think anywhere near 30%, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a long term place to have some real capital tied up in. So yeah, I would see
Sounds good.
small if anything.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump over to we a couple of videos ago, we talked about the Texas Senate, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, so let's just see if we can quick grab a update on some of the Texas markets. Texas Republican Senate nominee. This one was this one was wild.
Yeah.
Uh, we had we had Paxton like leading for well, yeah, he was all the way up to 80 some percent at one point, crashed down. Cornyn overtook him on election night, I believe, right? And then now he's come
Yeah.
back down. So they're kind of just swapping places here. Do you have a good read on where this might be headed?
Um, I mean, I think all things maintained, I do think Paxton has a little bit of an edge, but it's really the catalyst we're waiting for is if Trump makes an endorsement. I
Oh,
mean,
sure.
his endorsement will definitely boost one over the other. He can either really pad to Paxton's lead, or if he endorses Cornyn, I think he overtakes Paxton. I mean, he's the incumbent, and he's got all of that infrastructure behind him. I think they do that instead of and get a stronger position if Cornyn gets that Trump um, endorsement. I think that's the way to go against Tellerico for them in the general.
So do you think a better play for this market would be to go with one of these guys or go with um the actual midterm versus whoever wins versus Tallarico?
I
See
don't
if
I
we
don't
can get that
I don't know if it's a
market.
good play yet. I think everything's pretty fairly priced. So unless you have like a specific feeling about it that isn't totally quantifiable, I think you try to wait for something to happen, like either that Trump endorsement or I don't even know what can happen with Tellerico at this moment, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. And then I was just looking for the where was the Texas Senate? So you can try to choose the exact outcome. Oh, what's this one here? Texas Senate. Who endorsed Donald Trump, Ken Paxton. So I haven't seen this one before. This so it's
no,
actually
it's true.
so the so it's looking like Trump is actually favored to endorse no one.
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
Greg Abbott. Okay, so there's like different Greg Abbott is that to endorse John Cornyn, I would assume. Wesley
Yeah.
Hunt. Hmm,
Yeah, I would
interesting.
think. I mean, what's Abbott to Cornyn is 21%. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this one's. I don't know. We gotta dig more into this one. I didn't see this one.
Yeah, this must be new. How much
Yeah.
volume? This 140,000 volume. So decent
Yep.
volume on this actually. So yeah, maybe we'll dig into this one for the next video. But
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah. This
one
one's
for the
interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
yeah, a lot just midterms and stuff in general over the next 6 months. There's gonna be a lot of stuff to cover. So
Yeah.
we'll try to touch on the big things for you guys here. So there was a Republican primaries.
Yeah, the combo.
Yeah, the combo one that you've dug into here. Let's see. Um, Searching on Kalshi and Polymarket is not easiest sometimes because there's so many markets. Okay, is this the one? Yeah, Republican
Yeah.
Senate primaries combo.
Mhm.
All
So yeah,
right,
it's
48%.
basically yeah, it's basically a coin flip again at this point. Um, yeah, I mean, they structured it. It's structured exactly like the Democratic combo that's covered over on Flowframe. Yeah, I looked into this, and it seems like it's really divided into two different groups. I mean, you have a really strong block that I would say not to bet against. There's a Tafoya, the Collins, and more. Those three are not totally a lock, but a very high percentage of those three going through. And the way the combo works is that at least
E.
5 of 6 of their selected candidates win the primary, then the market resolves, yes. But then there's this contested block, which is Paxton and Texas, we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and also Barr and Letlow. Um, and yeah, working through the fair value and the polling for all that, it's like, yeah, it does resolve to about a 50-50 right now, just like with the primary. Definitely waiting on that Trump endorsement if it comes, or even if it doesn't come. Like that is also a signal. Not going seems to favor Paxton slightly, which then helps this market resolve, yes, too. Um,
Gotcha.
the next set event is the Louisiana primary on May 16th. That's Letlow, and I'm really watching for that one because if Letlow doesn't win that one, then I have the yes collapsing to a fair value of like 20%.
Oh,
Because then um, you have Paxton and Barr left, who are in the low 60s, and that computational, like the aggregate percentage that they both make it through, it's a lot lower.
mm.
So yeah, I mean, it's not totally not a lock if Letlow loses, but I think yes, at least the fair value for yes collapses.
So there could be some opportunities maybe live, like during this election as the votes come in, and if
Mhm.
it's looking like Letlow is gonna be in a tight race. I don't know. That other market might be slower to react, maybe the combo market, so there might be.
If it's like the Democratic one, yeah, I mean, it didn't react until after the count was totally in, and was that one was really mispriced until the count came in.
Yeah,
This one's a way closer to, I think, fair value, but it'll be interesting to see if like traders and market participants are a little more hip to that actual signal.
right. Alright. Good stuff, good stuff. Okay, so we can go over to a mentioned market here. Before we do, I guess I should ask, do you have a favorite pick of the week? Mine was the Kharg Island one. Was kinda chalky at 92%, but that's mine for the week. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so along the lines of the Iran ones we're talking about, I was looking at the DHS shutdown market.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. How long will the shutdown last? Was it this one? Yeah, I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
So I had it at uh, 60 days, but that one is pretty far collapsed. I think it's under more.
Oh, there we go. I had to click. There we go. So
Yeah,
there's the 60 days.
yeah, 60 days. I mean, yeah, because 60 days, Congress gets back from their Easter recess the day before, and the deadline gives them about 15 hours to get a deal done. And the Dems just really don't have much incentive right now to do it, to get one done. So I had that one. It was from a couple days ago, but that one was way overpriced. And I think it's probably still overpriced, but
Still
uh,
overpriced. So even now at 6.8 cents, you think that would be a good
yeah,
entry?
I don't think there's any version where Congress walks back into session and ends the longest government shutdown in history in
Yeah.
15 hours. Like I don't think that's gonna, especially when one side doesn't really have any incentive right now. I mean, you
Yeah.
have TSAs funded.
Yep.
They're they're gonna all everybody who's uh, has an election in November is at least partially running on some form of limiting DHS and ICE for a Democrat. Like so, they're totally incentivized to get more of what they want before doing a deal.
Yeah, I like this one too. This is a good return on your money. I don't know what this good this calculates out to over the year, but if you treat it like, you're earning 3% or 4% over the next five days, that's
Mhm.
extrapolate that out. That's of course,
It's about 100% return.
yeah, of course, it's not risk free, but it
Mhm.
seems pretty solid. It's pretty solid there. So I like it. I like it. All right. So Trump has a big mention market on Sunday. He's been kind of quiet this week with the mention markets, which is rare for him. He likes to be in front of the press, it seems like. So we finally get a good one. He's going on Fox News on Sunday morning. So this one I expect to have quite a bit of volume. It's at 50,000 right now, which is pretty low actually, but that should pick up. So what I'm thinking this is gonna be, he's probably gonna call in or something like that, and then it's gonna be kind of a victory lap on how great the deal with Iran is, and how great he is for accomplishing all of this, all of these military goals, and they won't have a nuclear weapon, and we're ending the terrorist regime, and how he's doing the US and the whole world a favor, and I think at least that's at least a good chunk of it, and then probably touching on maybe some partisan, a attacking the Democrats in some way. Yeah, there's a lot of things could come up. NATO could come up. That's been a hot topic. So,
Mhm.
I don't have any trades on this one yet, but I could see myself being on Democrat, yes. I'm gonna pull up the matrix on Flowframe here for it, so we can just take a peek together quick. We're going to show you how easy this is. So you just go here, you paste the URL, click search. Now you have all the words from the market, and you can click through. So talking about Democrat, you gotta choose Donald Trump here. So in March, he had 111 mentions of Democrat alone just in March. So clearly a popular word in his vocabulary. So we've got some context on, the press conference at the White House. He talked about how Israel can vote for can vote for it is unbelievable because, I don't really know what that is about. People don't talk about the Democrats themselves are very positive, everything. The Democrat voters, Democrat leaders, guys like Schumer. The Democrats are sick, lunatic Democrats. You can like click through to for each speech to see how it was used. So
Mhm.
super valuable there. And then let's jump over to the matrix. So Democrat, yeah, quite consistent. And the key sometimes is to look at what the event was. So where it hit no a couple times, it was this first one was yeah, so this was just he was talking to the astronauts for this one.
Mhm.
This no was the Easter egg roll. Um, this no was that prime time address about Iran, and this one was a gaggle talking before he got on Air Force One. So
Mhm.
in a lot of his normal just like interviews and press conferences, it hits quite frequently. So that one, the other one is Barack Hussein Obama. He's just been on a roll on
Yeah.
Barack Hussein Obama lately, and it's always how he terminated Barack Hussein Obama's terrible nuclear deal. And so it's a direct connection. He's talking about Iran and how great he's done. Oh, it seems to always transition into attacking the past administration's deals. So I like Barack Hussein Obama on that one too. Let me just quick pump back to see what that one's at.
Mhm. Yeah, that folds in definitely with like the hyper partisan
Yeah.
environment that the interview is going to be in.
Um, at 53%, seems low. To me, again, you don't like necessarily know yet like what the format is gonna be like.
Yeah.
So there's some risk there. And sometimes when the format is unknown, no's are a good play. But with Trump, no's are always also very sweaty. He could go off on a tangent. So
Yeah, it's how much
and
rinsing is he gonna get?
yeah. Yeah. And I have so his last Fox News interview would be a good one to go back and look at, and I could actually let me jump over. I could probably if I extend the matrix to the last 20 events, let's see if it's one of these events was his last Fox News. Yeah, right here. So this one was he calls into a live interview on Fox News, the 5. So if we use that one as maybe a rough reference, again, it's a different time, ceasefire and all of that has a new developments, but he hit on Democrat on that one and Barack Hussein Obama and nuclear negotiate is a good one too. So that might be one of the best references is just to go back to his last Fox News one and some of those
Mhm.
words have hit Barack Hussein. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting to see that one on
Yeah,
his last Fox
he
one too.
retired that one
So
for a while, but now
So, I
it's
mean,
back.
you could get it for 49 cents right now, just, I guess, small size, but any words that are jumping out to you?
Yeah,
Mm.
actually, NATO was jumping out to me, but I kinda had the opposite read on it. I mean, I think in that environment, I don't know, I don't think I think it's just a lower percentage.
Yeah,
I mean, because NATO is or calling in the world to any kind of international structure for this has kind of not been a high point of the Iran operation. So I think
yeah,
he steers clear of it unless he gets a shot in about it. Then
yeah,
I think that's the risk for it. I don't think there's any kind of real discussion about NATO in it. I think the risk is like a quip or a jab with NATO.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a 27 cents. You don't have to have a big size, you can have a good
Yeah.
return on that. He just had that meeting with the NATO Secretary General on Friday. And so maybe like smooth like I guess I haven't read any press releases about how that meeting went, but that could be a
Mhm.
good yeah, if there's anything out there about how the meeting went well and maybe they smoothed some things over, then yeah, I would love no
Yeah.
on here if that was the case. But I haven't. I might have to dig into that a little how that
Mhm.
meeting went. What and I'm just gonna pop over to the matrix for that one
Yeah.
here too. Let's see. So yeah, didn't wouldn't know the last Fox interview, but yeah, pretty sporadic. It's not as consistent as like maybe you would think with how much like headlines you might see about it. So that could be a good spot there.
Yeah, I think he also definitely talks about the international community and coordination like a lot without mentioning NATO. I
Right.
think like definitely talking about the structure and the shared interest without addressing it as much.
Yeah, he talks about like, oh, the United Kingdom, they offered to send their aircraft carriers, but it was the war was over. We didn't need them anymore. Is like he goes into that spiel
Yeah,
about
he doesn't
how
frame it as a NATO organized effort and kind of likes to isolate countries.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is definitely one where we will be trading on on Sunday. So just want to call out as well now in the mentions hub on Flowframe, I've now added, let's go back here. We've got Hannity and Maddow and Survivor now in the mentions tool. So Hannity, Kelsey always has Hannity on Monday nights and Maddow as well. So now you can grab grab the Matrix and historicals for Hannity shows and Survivor. We've got 2 episodes in here for Survivor. I'll have them all in here by the next Survivor episode. So definitely check that out. That's kind of fun. So I think they have this Survivor show up already. Let me just check because I want to show it off. Yeah. So Jeff Probst,
Probes.
So we're gonna paste the URL. So we've got all the words for the market immunity idol. Yeah, I've only got 2 episodes in there in so far, so it's surprising that he hasn't said that. But water, yeah, so twice, fire, rope. So once I get all of the transcripts in here, I feel like that's gonna be very valuable to like a niche kind of show like this where there's probably a lot of edge yet to be found because it's not gonna be super high volume and not a ton of attention on some of these words and markets that I think there could be some edge found there. So some tips there. So we will have our trades live in the Prediction Labs Discord. So again, make sure to check that out. That's a lot of fun. And then all right, anything else you want to cover on that Trump mentioned market or anything? Otherwise, we can probably wrap it up here.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Cool. So plays of the week that will come back to next week is Kharg Island
And the
will Kharg Island know that someone else will take it over, basically. And then
Mhm.
the DHS or the government shutdown
Yeah.
is not going to be ended by April 15.
Mhm.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Well, sounds good. Make sure to check us out next week for another episode.
It's good, man.
See ya.